My cousin stole from my father right after he passed away.
Scandalous.
I have no words to describe how furious I am right now. My dad passed away from pancreatic cancer 3 days ago. He was diagnosed 2 weeks ago, spent all of the first week and a half in the hospital until the doctors told us to take him home. He spent the last part of his life in hospice care, unable to talk and horrible pain. I was the only one with him when he passed, and it wasn't easy. Having to hold his hand and soothe him in his final moments was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. By the way, this comes from Oxy Family Issues, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. We're a big Hispanic family, so we had lots of family coming in and out for the last week. Several stopped by the day that he passed away, one of which included my constantly in trouble cousin. Long story short, I caught him looting and ransacking the bathroom and the room my father passed in, looking for the Oxycontin my dad was prescribed for his palliative care. Keep in mind, he was prescribed a substantial amount and I now can't effing find it. I lost my crap, hit and screamed at him and all but chased him out of the house. I'm furious, and since I'm the only one planning the funeral, I've banned him and his enabling family from the funeral. I'm so angry and so upset that they'd let him not only disrespect my dad by ransacking his things, but defended him after the fact. When I called my aunt to confront her about what her son did, she defended him and said that he would never do such a thing, and that I must have misseen something. Since I decided to ban them, I told my closest aunt and uncle to give them the news that we do not want them there, and that if they were seen anywhere near the church or the funeral home, the police would be called. I am now being bombarded from my family members telling me that it's not right for me to ban them from the viewing and funeral, and that I'm being way too hard on them considering my dad loved them. If my dad had caught them doing any of the things that I caught their son doing, he would have thrown him out the door on his butt. Period. I'm refusing to budge on this. However, my mom, who's been kind of out of it since the passing, is now sort of gently prodding that maybe we should relent and allow them in. My siblings and I are generally united, except my sister thinks that maybe we should allow them to attend if my cousin agrees to turn over what he stole and apologizes to our family. So, am I being too hard on them? I'm just so angry, I don't think I can forgive it. And there are some comments.
I think your brother needs addiction treatment.
The fact that they're just defending it, okay, but the fact that they're not seeing this and they're like, oh, something's wrong with him. Like, he needs his own help completely separate to this problem. You like, that's another thing. It's like, you're not just ignoring what he's doing to OP's dad. It's just like, there's a much bigger problem at hand here that we're ignoring. That's very disappointing. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that uphill battle, like, requirement of like, oh, well, you can hand him over if you want to come back. It's like, that's kind of a good way to not let them back in. You know what I mean?
But even if you do give them that out, it's like they could just give you half of it.
Roth Lobster says, we should allow them to attend if my cousin agrees to turn over what he stole and apologize to our family. I think this is the correct route to go. It shows everyone in your family that you have a reason to be mad. It solves drama and in a way that makes him look bad, not you. It means that you don't take crap from family for this. It puts pressure on your cousin from your family to return the substances and admit to his wrongdoing, as opposed to that pressure only coming from you. You can still not forgive them. You can still never invite them to things. You can still exclude this person from your life from now on. However, it solves the immediate cluster F and avoids the drama that it might perpetuate. And as a side note, assuming he admits guilt, I would absolutely ban him from your house. Deleted says, I agree the stealing is horrible, provided, as one commenter noted, he took the meds, not hospice, as is often protocol. But I just don't think this is OP's call to make. It's her mom's call. She sounds like she wants to let it go and have the funeral be about her husband, not about the drama and banned family members. I'm a big believer in the funeral is for the living, not for the passed away, and as the closest person to the deceased, it's mom's decision. I agree, an apology is in order. The cousin was certainly trying to steal something at any rate, but that shouldn't be conditional on the cousin and his family attending the funeral. OP is fine not to forgive them or speak to them following the funeral, of course. But for now, I ask OP to take some breaths, let the anger subside, and think of your mom and what she wants. Signed, someone who bit her tongue about addict or thief cousin coming to grandpa's funeral because it's what grandma wanted. OP responds, the thought of him being there literally makes my jaw clench. I cannot stand and the thought of him or any of them showing their faces at an event meant to be about respect and honoring my dad when they all over it by letting their disgusting excuse for a son disrespect him. I know my mom wants us to forgive him and let him come, but I'm just so angry. This feels like a literal slap to the face. I know her feelings matter, but aren't our feelings valid too? And there is an update. So this is 6 days later. For those that asked me if I was sure my cousin was looking through my dad's things looking for substances, I can 100% assure you that he was. Drawers were pulled out. Cabinets were flung wide open. When I caught him in the act, he was actually rummaging through the pockets of the pants my dad was wearing when he passed. So yes, I'm very sure that he was after the substances. I talked to my mom about the possibility that hospice took the substances, and she told me that they got rid of all of the morphine and lorazepam. The oxytocin was untouched, and it was hidden in a very specific drawer, which I found upended. It's safe to say that I know he took them. Anyway, now the update. So I was all set to stick to my pew-pews and prevent them from attending. However, I got a call from my abuelita and I agreed to bring her some dinner and talk with her. I know she's been taking my dad's passing really hard and I didn't want to do it, but I still felt like I had to hear her out. I sat down with her and had a long conversation, and some things came out that I didn't know before. My aunt, the one that I banned from the funeral, actually bailed my dad out of jail once when he was a very young man and had a problem with booze. She paid for his attorney and legal fees and everything, and I guess the experience is what helped my dad get his crap together and straighten his life out. I never knew any of this because my dad swore her and the rest of my family to secrecy. I suspect he was ashamed since he worked so hard to keep me and my siblings on the straight and narrow. Abuelita told me that she understood how I felt, but my aunt was a huge part of my father's life and that she wanted all of her children there, and that being so angry and taking my anger out on other people would do nothing to bring him back. Kind of broke down. She was right. When I wasn't angry, when I wasn't busy, and once I was left with just myself, all I felt was exhausted. And I don't know. I don't even know how to describe a feeling that goes beyond heartbroken. Someone here commented that it was like a grief that puts a passing of itself in you. The commenter was 100% right. Abuelita wanted it, and my mom wanted it. My siblings and I reluctantly agreed to lift the ban, and my aunt told my other aunt and uncle that we had changed our minds. However, we would really appreciate it if the cousin did not attend. The viewing was yesterday, and of course, they brought their crap bag son with them. He acted like a straight fool. While he had the common sense to avoid me like the plague, he had the effing nerve to act like he was so torn up, made a show of kneeling by the casket, and so on. By the way, we're making a show for you on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. We've got full episodes with more stories just like this one. Just search OK Storytime.
Yes.
And there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, what do you think about that?
I don't know. That might not be a show, man.
That's what I'm kind of thinking too.
If people with addictions are still like people with feelings, and he probably does feel really mixed up about what he did, like, because it's a real shameful thing to do.
Totally. I mean, I could understand if him kneeling at the door or at the casket and stuff is like a little much for what he would usually do. Maybe you could be a little annoyed, but I agree with you. I don't think any of it's really malicious. Obviously he wasn't being super respectful when he was looking at all that stuff, but we know why, so I think a little bit of grace can be given to this guy.
It's a hard spot to be in, to have to, deal with on the other side. It's a hard spot for him to have to deal with it as well, whatever's going on at the funeral. It's really hard not to move through this from a personal place. You're taking it really personally. It's a personal thing.
Yeah. And you're grieving with all this.
Yeah. And it feels unfair and wrong, and it's just hard, but he needs help,
Right. I know. It's so different than like the other stories where someone gets really weird about money when someone passes away, you know, and they get really greedy with that stuff because it's like, okay, well, you are in a fine state of mind to deal with money, but with this, it's like, okay, I feel like people who have problems with that kind of stuff don't have a lot of, chances of these medications just laying around. So this is like the perfect opportunity for him, and he can't help it. So
clearly he can't because of how he acted. Right. Like, that's absurd to be going through the pants.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It's wild. But there is a little bit more to the story. So then he proceeded to get so crap-faced at the bar next door, he promptly returned to the funeral home, wandered into the room where refreshments were being being served, and when my brother said something snide to him, a pushing match ensued in which an entire tray of desserts went crashing to the floor. My uncle promptly strong-armed both of them out the door and told them both not to bother coming to the funeral service the next day if they couldn't act right, which I don't blame him for. My siblings were under strict instruction not to engage him in any foolishness. The D-bag cousin didn't show up to the service, but his parents did. The service went far smoother than the viewing. I gave the eulogy and we all said goodbye to my dad. Everyone's gone now. I don't feel angry anymore. Now I just feel so sad and incredibly alone. I'll be missing my father forever. And that's how we end that story. Oh, P, I'm so sorry. And hopefully now that that kind of funeral drama is over, now you can actually focus on healing and grieving in the proper way rather than like all of this other stress distracting you. But we've got another story.
My cousin trashed the house and blamed us for it.
Well, sir, we saw you.
My dad never knew his biological father. It felt like a family secret until we found answers through Ancestry in 2024. Turns out it wasn't really a secret, just a truck driver who played with my grandmother's emotions until she had a kid. His aunts and uncles were old school mean, except for Uncle B and Aunt T. By the way, this comes from user appropriate ruin7262. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. Uncle Barry had a daughter called Tanya, and she and my father were close. Favorite cousins, the kind everyone has. Uncle Barry's wife wasn't great, but Barry was genuinely cool. The type who forgives a little too easily. Since Uncle Barry was a father figure to my dad, that trait got passed down. Somewhere in my dad's desire to be loved, he has let people walk all over him his whole life. I'm working on breaking that same habit, and it's hard to unlearn. My mother was the stronger half of their perfect balance, don't get me wrong. My father isn't weak, but he strives to be good like Barry, his brother. His idea of being a good man means taking care of people and following the golden rule, but his need for connection makes him an easy target. Mom would let him be gracious, but would call out people taking advantage of him face to face. She was more rational and logical. In 2015, she was diagnosed with stage 4. She lived longer than anyone expected, and it was only really bad in the last year. Isn't it always? Tanya is married to John, and they have one child, Marty, who's around my younger sister's age, 13 to 14, during this conflict. Tanya told me and my mother that John had a pill problem since a work accident and cheated on her with a local supermarket employee, someone Tanya had to see every time she shopped, which made the humiliation worse. At some point, Tanya took Marty and moved out. They divorced, but eventually got back together while staying legally divorced. In 2020, while Tanya and John were separated, I met my now husband, and we moved in together after 3 months. Yes, that sounds crazy, but that's what life had in store for us. My room was empty, and since my mother and Tanya were good friends, Mom offered her that room. The plan was for them to establish stability and then move to Florida to be closer to my dad. Although Mom never wanted John around, she kept the room offer open. Most importantly, she knew my father didn't have much family left. His mother had passed, and he was estranged with his sister due to past drama. Mom felt that having more good family around him would make her eventual loss easier on him. In January 2022, Tanya and John moved into my old room. They brought more than initially agreed upon, like a huge hyper-untrained poodle and 2 foster children they'd been working with a lawyer to relocate. The kids, like many foster children, came with issues, but we made it work. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, double-wide trailer. The adults shared a room, my sister shared hers with Marty, and the 2 foster girls had bunk beds in the living room. Only the primary bathroom had a shower, so everyone had to go through my parents' bedroom. My sister and I had a clawfoot tub bathroom, my mother's dream setup for soaking. Each bedroom had a window unit, and common areas had a poorly functioning central AC. Mom would keep bedroom doors closed during the day to help cool the house. Then everyone could close their doors at night. My mother passed away that June in 2022. The same month, my now husband proposed. He had asked her permission months prior, and I found out I was pregnant. My sister stayed with me that summer for comfort and space. When she returned home, there was constant bickering. Tanya complained my sister wasn't respectful, and honestly, sometimes she wasn't, but she was a young teenager who'd lost her mom and didn't even have her own space anymore. Tanya would complain about my sister keeping her door closed while she cooked dinner. I tried to stay out of it, understanding both sides. My father worked 4 a.m. to 5 p.m. driving trucks locally. John worked through a family connection and Tanya worked remotely. She had asked to upgrade the internet and discussed taking over cable and internet payments with my mother before she passed, since John liked cable. She was given account permissions to pay bills. She took over power, cable, and internet, no rent required. She also bought food with her benefits, though that was unexpected. She maintained these bills while mom was alive, but stopped paying them without telling anyone, and they piled up. We gotta tell people when we stop paying the bills when we're living with other people.
That's an important thing.
Kind of super important.
Yeah. That's how you get to live somewhere.
You gotta pay the bills or this stuff turns off. 4 months after mom passed, my father started talking to a woman on a dating app my mother had set up for him. He was so worried about what people thought that he asked my permission, which I thought was wild. He's my dad, but I'm 30 and moved out and engaged. He only needed permission if he brought someone around my sister and from her, not me. I messaged the woman's daughter, who's my age, and she said they were just talking. Lots of calls and texts, but they hadn't even met in person yet. Both had lost spouses, so I was happy for them, but somehow rumors started that he was leaving my sister with Tanya to go see this woman when he was actually just riding motorcycles with my Uncle Barry. A blow up happened when Tanya told my grandmother and sister he was effing another woman. After this, Tanya and John decided to move by December. I was honestly happy. My sister needed the space, and my father needed the peace. In November of 2022, before Thanksgiving, the power and internet were behind. I asked them to make payment arrangements, and Tanya sent me a screenshot showing she had. The day after Thanksgiving, I went into early labor. Wow!
Oh my gosh.
It did not stop for you at all of 2022.
Yeah, this whole story is like just, oh, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. It's like, I need a breather.
This family was in a hurricane that
year.
My phone was being blown up by automatic calls from utility companies. I was busy and didn't want to worry my father, so I texted him to have Tanya call about the arrangements. He said, okay. A few weeks later, Dad called because the power was out. I logged in to check and saw $1,100 due with a $580 minimum to restore service. When I called about the arrangement, they said my phone number on the account had been changed, so I hadn't been getting calls for months. The payment arrangement I'd received a screenshot of had been made and then canceled. Thinking something had happened, I called to suggest a payday advance place to get power restored. I would never do that. Don't ever do that. $580 worth of assets you have to sell.
Yeah.
If at all possible.
Yeah.
Payday advance loans have interest rates of like 1,300% sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Like it's an insane amount.
Wow.
I mean, that's a very predatory loan rate.
Yeah.
They're not all that bad.
Yeah.
But if you go to the wrong place, good luck paying that loan off.
Yikes, dude. Yeah, to avoid that, you just gotta change your sleep schedule, wake up with the sun, go to sleep with it. Invest in a few flashlights. That's cheaper than the 1,300, whatever interest rate.
Cold showers.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a river nearby. We can just start homesteading, go back to the olden days.
Yeah.
Before you take a payday advance loan. So my calls then went to voicemail. When I called Marty's phone, John answered, said hey, then hung up and blocked me. They moved out that month to live with Tanya's mother. I found out from family that she'd literally said they never intended to pay any of it. $1,100 for power, $970 for internet. They'd also broken the air conditioner, the washer, and oven during their stay. In my grief from losing my mother, I was angry. I texted her that it was messed up and she'd taken advantage of my father, left the house damaged, and never paid what she agreed to. And her foster children had stolen from us. The meanest thing I said was about how I was at the hospital and getting calls about bills she'd sent fake screenshots about. She knew she was lying and still spread rumors about my father to my sister and grandmother. For that, I told her I wish her the worst. She replied with vicious words before blocking me. My father ended up in bankruptcy trying to catch up financially after my mother's passing. Here's her final text, changed. First of all, we kissed butt down there for far too long. We bought over $3,000 worth of groceries while we were there, and we did all the cooking and cleaning while your sister and father sat on their butts and acted like we were their slaves, all while your sister was nothing but a disrespectful effing brat. Your mother, who, by the way, if she was still alive, would probably disown you all for everything that has happened, all the way down to not honoring her last wishes and blowing money hand over fist instead of spending the money the way she wanted it spent. She told us when we came there that she wanted us to save money to find a place to live after 6 months, and we, out of the kindness of our hearts, said that we would cover the lights, water, and cable. The entire time we were paying those, we never had any money to save after that groceries, while your father and sister chose to go out to eat every day and had a great big time. While we were paying all that, what we paid in groceries and the slave work that we did, you're living somewhere not paying rent. You're not paying rent to live somewhere. I'm done supporting them. Do not dial my number, Jonathan's number, or my number ever again. No wonder there's no family that wants anything to do with you all. I don't owe any of you anything. You need to also tell your father to not dial my daughter's number ever again. I am done with you people. Bunch of lazy expects everyone to wait on using trashy effers. Don't reach out to us again. Oh, and F you. By the way, we would never say anything like that to you if you went and listened to full episodes with stories like this one on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Just search OK Storytime. For the record, my mother's wishes were honored. I used the life insurance to pay bills in advance and put the rest in my sister's account. Tanya never cleaned, by the way. She made her foster children do it. She cooked like she was feeding 20 people while my father thanked her profusely and suggested smaller portions. And those handful of dinners my dad and sister went to, that's rich coming from someone who used to take Marty to get food and make her eat in the car so the foster kids wouldn't know about it. I'm still bitter. I still hate her. This feels like letting go. Yeah, I think go to, if you can find a resource to, have therapy to talk about this, would probably be really beneficial. But
great.
The first step of letting go is probably letting it all out.
Oh, for sure. I cut off both of our grandmothers. Now everyone's calling me heartless.
I mean, optically, it might look that way.
So here we go. To start this story, we have to go back 2 years for the backstory. I, 26 female, have 3 kids. At the time, my oldest son was 6, my daughter was 3, and my youngest boy was 2 weeks old. I was at swim lessons with my oldest son and daughter when I got the call that my grandmother had broken her leg and wouldn't be able to put weight on it for 8 weeks, requiring surgery. Wow. So, as any other granddaughter would, I went straight to her. By the way, this comes from Mama Adulting on the r/charlottedobreyoutube subreddit, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. For 6 weeks, I was the main caretaker of my grandmother. Her cousin came to help occasionally to give me a break, as I was a single mom at the time. While taking care of her, my daughter fell and broke her collarbone, so my days went from stressful to completely overwhelming. My grandmother started being extremely hateful towards me. My cooking wasn't done exactly as she would do it. She doesn't even cook. Even before this, I shouldn't wear my hair straight. I should stop front airbag feeding my youngest son. It got so bad that even her cousin pulled me aside one day to apologize because the comments were becoming so hateful. She felt bad for me. When the 6 weeks were up and she could walk with a boot, my grandfather, they're divorced, had to have open heart surgery. Oh my gosh. With her being better and me not wanting to take anymore, I became his caretaker when he got out of the hospital. For context, I live with him, so this was much easier. Fast forward, he's all healed and starting to do things on his own when I get a call from my grandmother. This time, it wasn't for caregiving, but to tell me that she needed newspapers to wrap breakable things. As she said, I might be having to move. I said, okay, I'd bring some over later in the week. That night, I told my parents about the phone call. They were confused since when she bought the house, she'd paid in full with no mortgage. So my dad texted her to see if he could sell it for her. He's in real estate. The text he got back made our jaws hit the floor. She told him, no, stay out of my effing business. And this is when Dad found out that she had taken out a reverse mortgage and lost the house in foreclosure. We knew that she had a gambling problem, but had no idea how bad it truly was. The next day I took over the papers, but she wasn't home. I called her. She was out somewhere, but wouldn't say where. The noise in the background sounded like a packed out bar. I told my dad I was dropping off the papers and she said to leave them in the living room. This is where it gets messy. I went snooping, figuring I'd find out how long she had until she had to be out, or documents showing money that she owed. Wrong. I found not 1, but 3 notes addressed to my mom, dad, and uncle. I started reading the one to my dad, couldn't get past the first paragraph, so I quickly took pictures of them, put everything back, and started frantically calling my dad. When he answered, I was already out of the house to find her. He told me where to look. He'd found her at illegal gambling places in town before. We live where gambling is illegal. My dad went to the house, got the notes, and immediately went to the sheriff's department to file a report. When I found her, she was gambling. My mom had my oldest son and daughter out for the night, so while my youngest slept in his car seat, I sat in the parking lot waiting for her to come out. Finally came out and I followed her home. The next day, my mom and I were standing in the kitchen crying about everything when I got the call to come get her from the hospital since they were releasing her. We brought her straight to my mom's house where she tried to blame my children for her gambling problem, saying, y'all used to play cards with me every week till the oldest was born and then got too busy, so now I go play games. She's like, well, you guys don't play cards with me, so what else am I gonna do?
And again, that's like somebody who's is like never like and is not able to like take personal accountability for it yet. Like that's what they're gonna do. It's always gonna be a deflect,
a blame game for sure. She went on about how you have never done anything for me, as if I hadn't dropped my entire life to take care of her when she broke her leg. After that, I went no contact for a year. Flash forward, I start dating my now fiance, male 28. We'll call him Alan. I started allowing small interactions with my grandmother again because even though she'd been hateful, I didn't want to deny my children access to their great-grandmother. This was a huge mistake. She wouldn't show up to things like my daughter's dance recitals because she had a card game with friends. She would ask if I'd bring the kids over, and if I said yes, she'd send a list of things that she wanted me to pick up at the store. This became a weekly thing. Things finally hit the breaking point when 3 months ago, my dad got a call from a woman he used to work with. The woman said that my grandmother had called her asking to borrow $10,000. We found out that my grandmother had borrowed money from over 70 friends and family members.
No.
How do you keep track of that, dude?
That's way too much.
How do you even know that that number is that high? I would lose track so hard. That's crazy.
They probably all started a group together.
Yeah, it does sound like kind of
like,
small town.
If
gambling is not allowed in their little town. My mom called her and said, either get help for your gambling or don't contact any of us again. The next day, I received 3 calls from her, all crying until the 3rd call. She said, they transferred me. Do you have a battery-powered fan? We can't have anything with cords here, but this poor nurse is having the worst hot flashes, and I told her you could bring her a fan.
All right, so she's in an inpatient psychiatric facility, clearly.
Yeah.
Because there's no cords allowed.
Yeah.
No cords, no shoelaces, no belts, probably.
Maybe the hospital that was mentioned earlier maybe we can assume the worst with those notes in that hospital visit. But yeah, I feel like she could find a fan somewhere else. I feel like this nurse can like have a different way to deal with her hot flashes.
Yeah, it feels like that's
like
a weird way to try to reach out.
Yeah, I was in shock. She's supposed to be getting help, but is worried about a nurse who gets to go home having hot flashes. The next day, she called again asking if I'd come get her phone because she couldn't have it, but needed to make calls. So I won't be able to bring that to you because you can't have it. So I don't know what you want from me. I asked who she needed to call. She said, well, I'm going to lose the car, so I need to make some calls. Turns out she'd taken out a title loan and never paid it. That was my final straw. I told her she needed to focus on getting better and not worry about things that she'd lost due to her choices, and until she was better and not gambling anymore, I'd be having no contact. Someone paid the loan for her so the car won't be repossessed. And then I found out the day that she got out of the mental hospital, she was back gambling. Now for Alan's grandmother. Alan's grandma and I had gotten to know each other when he and I first started dating, since he was living with her to help her. She can't do much by herself anymore. In the beginning, she seemed really nice and enjoyed having the kids and me around. She would make comments like, I shouldn't tell Alan's mom anything or get too close to her because she's a manipulative bee. These comments seemed weird, but everyone has family drama, so I just shrugged it off. When she found out that I'd met his parents and gone along with them, she was fuming. She would tell Alan that I was going to leave him and the kids weren't mine, so he shouldn't get attached. She would make comments on his birthday saying, well, since y'all had a party beforehand, that means I get you all to myself on your birthday. On Mother's Day, I made homemade cinnamon rolls, got her a gift, and flowers. She rolled her eyes and then told Alan how thoughtful it was and how much it meant to her that he got her the gift. He had no idea what it was, and I'm the one who paid for it. Things like this got more common, to the point that I told him how uncomfortable I felt being somewhere I wasn't welcomed anymore. Things hit the fan when she found out his mother was coming to my daughter's dance recital. She originally wasn't going due to it being too early and her not feeling good, so we invited his mom. His mom wasn't going to go if she was going because she didn't want his grandma making a scene and ruining a good moment for my daughter. His grandma called him the day before and said that she wanted to go, but he informed her we'd invited his mom, though she was still welcome to come. She lost it. She started screaming so loud I could hear her from the other side of the car. Over the next month, things got even more tense. She would belittle everything Alan did and start fights just to fight. The breaking point for me came when she said she never wanted to see the kids again since they weren't Alan's. Yikes, dude.
Big ol' yikes.
Oh my gosh.
It's a grandma contest, but they're competing on who's the worst.
Yeah, for real. I don't know who's the winner just yet. For context, the kids call him dad, and once we're married, he'll be legally adopting them. She told him that I forced him to have a relationship with his mom and that I was an awful person. That's when he snapped and told her she needed to watch what she says because once she says something, she can't take it back. 2 weeks ago, Alan, our daughter, and I were baptized. She wasn't invited to the service or the big lunch we threw after to celebrate with our family and friends. He offered to show her the live stream and she made him skip over where our daughter and I got baptized because I don't care about anyone other than you. Since then, she gave him an eviction notice. So when he moved out like she wanted, she tried to accuse him of stealing his deceased grandfather's golf club. He took his golf clubs that he'd bought before he ever lived there. She called him a good-for-nothing POS and so many awful things. Since then, we've both got no contact with her for the simple fact that we just can't take any more hateful people in our lives. And I couldn't take hateful people, but I can take all of you lovely people over to watch more full episodes of stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is and search OK Storytime. We both know that our grandmothers are getting older and we won't be around forever, but we just can't take any more of the hurt and don't want to put the kids through any of it. My family is also going no contact with my grandmother because she told my mom maybe if she would just be allowed to see the kids, I wouldn't gamble. None of us are okay with her using my kids as a bargaining tool. Alan's mom says that his grandma is family, so we should just suck it up and still be there for her. She has no idea why her own mother hates her so much. Alan's dad, however, is on our side with going no contact. So, am I the a-hole for going no contact? And I think not.
No.
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 That's actually really funny that Alan's dad is like, yeah, my mother-in-law is, don't blame ya. Get out of there. But he's stuck. He's like, save yourselves.
Yeah.
Save yourselves. It's too late for me.
I'm suspicious of my brother's girlfriend, so I started investigating her.
Is she part of the FBI?
My younger brother, Adam, had a rough childhood, to say the least. Our father passed away when he was under 10 from Our mother is likely bipolar, but definitely has self-absorbed tendencies. I'm older by a decade and did what I could when I could for him. But basically, I failed to protect him and didn't understand what he needed. All that to say that his descent into heavy drinking wasn't a surprise. It was expected. A couple of years ago, he had an incident that caused him to be hospitalized, and he began his recovery and sobriety. By the way, this comes from Recognition Dry 66, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Riley.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Angie.
He's over 2 years clean now. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Hugely due to the new relationship he started months after his incident with a kind-hearted, lovely woman. I'll call her Eve. He brought Eve over to meet us shortly after they met, and she's been a welcome part of our family. She makes gifts for my kids and treats. She's always fun to speak to, and her quirkiness fits in beautifully. Aww.
Yay.
As we've gotten to know her, we've learned about how traumatic her life has been. They're kind of trauma bonded, but she's so understanding and empathetic. She told us about her twin who passed away in high school, how her siblings and parents loved him more and treated her badly as the survivor was always less than.
No, this is next to normal.
She also had another brother who passed away in war in Iraq, who became the golden child after twin passed. She couldn't seem to gain her mother's approval or attention, and we bonded over those feelings of not being wanted or good enough. She told us she was originally from Scotland. Her father was a sheep farmer who moved to America to buy a cattle farm because of the cowboy movies, so she has dual citizenship.
Sick.
She also said because of this, she spoke 16 languages. She worked at a college and had multiple degrees too. Overall, she was incredibly nice and took care of Adam and seemed super well educated and proper. Sometimes she had her Scottish accent too because she's been around her family. Then she started to tell us about her past relationships. 3 divorces.
Dang. How old is this girl?
I don't even know.
I'll look it.
Okay.
Oh, Angela Connolly has
All
conspiracy
lies,
theory.
I bet.
All lies.
Yeah. Also, if someone has like this many divorces, where's the common denominator? Like, is it the people she's choosing or is
Well,
it her kind of thing? You know
I
what I'm saying?
imagine that she does have a lot of trauma
And she goes after a certain type of person.
and maybe seeks a lot of,
daddy issues.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
looking for like people to tell her that, what's the word?
She's important. She's loved.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. One was from a person who had gender reassignment surgery. The other passed away. And the last is another awful dude. Felt like after 2 years of knowing her, she was a great fit. So last week, when they had a bad argument, I tried to reassure Adam. I'd come over to talk to him, and he told me that she had lied to him about not speaking to a friend of hers anymore. Some guy who was apparently a popular guy in high school. She lied because she didn't want to believe he wasn't a good guy because she's had so much bad luck with men. Adam was struggling to move past the lying, but wanted to work it out, and I supported him in whatever he does. I talked to my husband about it, and he asked the most basic question. How does she have a high school popular kid here in town if she was raised in Oklahoma on a cattle farm?
Was it Angela Connolly who said all lies? Was it Angela Connolly? Has she ever actually said? Do we have any proof that she actually knows 16 languages?
That's a
Is
good
she
point.
faking a Scottish accent?
Is this OP saying that they know?
This is OP
16?
talking about his brother and his brother's partner.
Yep,
Okay.
honestly, I have PTSD, so my brain sometimes gets mixed up. I assume I was wrong. It turned over and over in my head, though, for a couple of days. I finally caved while my husband played video games and began a casual search into her. I Googled her name, and her address came up. Then I realized her history of addresses were all in America, all going back pretty far. So I checked her parents, and their address went back in America to before she was born.
Insane that she was putting on a fake Scottish accent.
That's crazy.
Insane.
She's doing like a whole genealogy.
Was it a
like,
good
research
Scottish
to
accent?
Get this girl out of here.
I need to know if you guys were just
Yeah.
gullible. But also,
How
if someone
convincing.
came up to me and started doing an accent and they're like, yeah, I'm from Scotland, from Glasgow, and it was like kind of bad, I wouldn't be like, you're faking it. You're lying to me.
True,
Yeah.
true.
I would kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. So
Yeah.
I was so confused. I Googled them and found recent obituaries of her grandparents on both sides. They're all from America. And they only mention 3 kids by her parents ever. Obituaries usually list preceding in passing, and these do, but no grandkids in that list. No additional brothers of hers. Not only that, but she lived at the same address her whole life in Kansas. I looked it up on a map and found the high school nearby and searched the yearbook. Found her 12th grade. No twin, but he passed away, so I checked 9th grade. Also no twin.
dang, no twin.
The
Twin never
deeper I
existed.
dug, the more proof of lies. What do we do at this point?
So we get, I don't know what languages she knows. I'm going to assume French, Spanish. Get a French person. You could probably find a person who speaks French.
Oh yeah, they're easy.
Comes
fun.
over. You invite him over for dinner. You're like, hey, my friend knows French. So they
What's
start
mon
speaking French.
toi?
They start speaking French.
Blanc bleu.
Parlez-vous français? Etc. And then you drive it home.
Wait,
You've
time
invited
out.
two-
You also invited someone that speaks German.
I hate you because I was about to say that. I literally wait, and then you time out and finished exactly what I was going to say.
Well, maybe I just knew what you were about to say.
Okay, I'll take that.
Only 2 marriages on record, still both alive. One did change names from male in the marriage to female in the divorce, but that seems to be the only true thing she's ever said. It's absolutely shocking. Finally, my husband said I had to tell Adam. I wasn't against it, and then as the pile got larger, I said it was an in-person conversation. He insisted it needed to be done, so I put it all together into a document and messaged Adam. I asked a few clarifying questions about the twin and the ex-husbands. I apologized and provided the information to him and hoped I was wrong. Within 10 minutes of sending it to him, he said that she admitted everything to him. He's absolutely lost now. 2 whole years, so many lies. I'm just baffled. Why? Like, If they ever got married, would it have been revealed so quickly? As it stands, she's been able to keep him away from her family by allowing them to disrespect their age gap. He's noticeably more younger than her. Refused to go to an uncle's funeral earlier this year because she claimed he was awful. I hate questioning that, but maybe she just didn't want Adam to find out that her uncle was born and raised in Kansas, not Scotland, and so was her dad. She was here with my kids, having them feel a wound scar from an incident that never happened. There's no criminal records for either of the exes. There's none for her either, thankfully, but good Lord, I wish I could have put the cat back in the bag on this one. Why lie? Why didn't I check her background sooner? I literally checked my kids' date in high school to make sure their parents aren't on a registry or anything. I should have checked with her much sooner. Now the life and family they were building is in ruins, and I'm terrified of him losing his sobriety. I'm feeling really guilty for looking it up and telling him to. Not sure I did the right thing because he's heartbroken.
You
Am I the
absolutely
a-hole? There's
did
an
the
update.
right thing. What do you mean? What are you talking about, OP? Your brother's girlfriend lied about everything about herself.
She kind of does a little update, but I'm just going to get into it. We have an update.
Okay.
So, to catch up, brother's girlfriend of 2 years was lying about her past. From the traumatic passing of made-up twin, made-up older brother, 2 ex-husbands who are still very much alive, a made-up ex-fiancé, to inventing having multiple degrees and speaking 16 languages.
She didn't lie about the first one, though. That was the truth.
But she was probably like, oh, I can get
Kernel
away
of
with
truth.
this, so I'm going to keep making lies up like
Yeah.
this. When I posted, I had uncovered some of the lies and forwarded the proof to my brother Adam. She had come clean immediately and taken him to visit her parents to explain it. She has an untreated borderline personality disorder, apparently.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like we could tell you that.
I could have diagnosed you.
Oh boy, I couldn't have. My brother, who I call Adam for this, is a recovering heavy drinker with a huge heart. He was absolutely determined to stay with her and not toss her aside for being human. He thought this was the righteous and noble thing to do, not to discard someone who is struggling or damaged in their time of need. Okay, but like, they fabricated everything that you know about them.
She lied to you. You don't know her. You know her zero amount.
It's crazy. She had to lie about every single detail in her life just to get you to love her.
And then within that, had to throw in a Scottish accent.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't even know what she sounds like.
She canonically threw in a Scottish accent.
Literally.
That was in the story.
Around your kids, OP.
She said she would go home to her family and come back with a Scottish accent.
Crazy.
That's insane.
Oh my god.
That's insane.
My husband and I were determined to support him regardless of his choice because we love him. She told him she could never be around us again and was scared of us.
I'm scared. Don't bring them around me.
We assured him that we would never be rude to anyone he dated and that we were more than capable of being around her. I genuinely think when she realized that we weren't going to let her isolate him by pretending like she had a reason to fear us, it was over for her. It lasted only a week after our dinner with him, where we showed him unconditional support and reminded him that he was a victim repeatedly. Following week, she went out with friends to a bar. He asked where she went and with who, since this whole thing started because she was lying about not hanging out with some knucklehead that didn't respect my brother or their relationship. She said that since she didn't have to show Adam anything to prove where she had been and that she can't heal like this, she expected to play the victim to him.
Of course she did.
As if him asking for accountability and transparency was him being controlling.
But at that point, like, break up. You know, like, I don't think Adam is at all unreasonable.
Yeah.
But if you do have to ask for that level of things, it's like, just break up.
Break up, dude. Like,
You
why?
don't know anything about this woman.
Then he said that he can't be in a relationship where he can't trust someone. She was clearly hiding who she was and was with. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
In response, she gave him 30 days to move out. By the way, we have more than 30 days of content for you to listen to on
How
your
many
favorite
days?
podcast platform. 70?
I think you're right.
You have 70 days to listen to all our content nonstop. Go watch
That's more
it.
than double 30.
That's true, Sophia. That is math. All you gotta do is go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime on Apple, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. And guys, there's a little bit left here. Any other thoughts?
I mean, it just really feels like this guy went to her. He's like, I just feel like I don't even know you.
Yeah.
And if I were there, if I were watching the TV, I'd be throwing things. I'd be throwing the remote. I'd be throwing popcorn at him, being like, of course you don't know her. You never knew her.
Yeah.
She lied about everything.
So this weekend, we are moving him into his own place. He's, of course, still reeling from the whiplash of whatever the heck the last 2 years of lies have been with a woman he thought he would marry. He has a strong support system, though, and he's absolutely going to get through this. He's even quit smoking during this.
Wow.
Holy cow. I thought he'd start drinking, which I could not imagine trying to do in this level of chaos, but he is determined.
Yeah.
Yay.
He's like, I don't know anything about her, so maybe I don't know anything about myself.
Yeah,
And I can reinvent myself.
exactly. Thank you to everyone for the advice and support. Please don't be gullible like we were. And if something sounds too good to be true, probably is.
If
Knowing
someone
that,
ever tells you that they know 16 languages, ask them to prove it.